Okay, this is our last lesson for today, and it is science, and we're learning about plants. Now, last week and the week before, we were looking at some plants that we have potted, and we put two under the cupboard and two under the windowsill, and we'll be checking those next week. So instead, we're going to be doing about some life cycles. Now, we've looked at life cycles before. We looked at the life cycle of a chick and humans and things like that. So I thought it'd be really good to look at a life cycle of some plants. Okay, so we've been learning about plants, and here are lots of different plants. Do you remember the plants that we planted in school and you took home? I'm wondering how they're doing. If you've got some pictures of them, do let me see. Okay, so here are some bulbs, and it shows that they are turning it into like a bud and then into a flower. And here's a sunflower done for us already. So a seed, and then it grows up, and then it flowers, doesn't it? Okay, so plants are living things. They're alive like humans and other animals. How can we tell that plants are living things? Okay, so they move, they breathe, don't they? And things like that. They eat, they drink, although they don't seem like they're living things, do they? Okay, so they do certain things to stay alive. These are called life processes, and plants do them too. So I'm going to just share a new video with you that we can watch together now. So let me just make sure my sound is up.
Have you ever stopped to think how similar you are to a plant or a flower? Now that may sound a funny question, but plants, just like people, are living things, and in many ways, all living things are alike.
The trouble is, when you think about plants doing the things that living things are meant to do, it all seems a bit odd. Like plants having babies, or eating, or even moving. I mean, they look pretty rooted to me. So when we say that plants are living things, what exactly do we mean? To find out, I'm visiting one of the greatest collections of plants in the world, all gathered in the Palm House at Kew Gardens. The Palm House is like a massive greenhouse. It's bathed in sunlight, and it's just full of exotic plants, all growing close together. Actually, the fact that plants grow is pretty important, because if something grows, then that's one of the signs that you're dealing with a living thing. And for things that grow, well, you can't do better than these tropical bamboos. They're really tough, so tough that in some parts of the world they use them to build with. But what's really amazing about these bamboos is how fast they can grow, sometimes as much as a metre every single day. The next thing I wanted to find out was how a plant moves, because moving, like growing, is something done by all living things. And it didn't take long to find what I was looking for. This plant moves by closing its leaves when you touch it. In fact, though plants are rooted to the ground, they're moving all the time. It just takes a special camera to see it. All right, so that's growing and moving. Next on my list, reproduction. In other words, the way that living things have babies or young of some kind. Come and take a look at this. This is a cocoa plant. And can you see that kind of orangey pod hanging off the trunk? Well, it's packed full with seeds. And when it splits open, new cocoa plants will be created. And you can see on the trunk here, these tiny little white bits. Well, these are new seed pods just springing into life. Actually, as far as I'm concerned, the more cocoa plants there are in the world, the better, because cocoa is what chocolate's made from.
Okay, so that video was very interesting. We're going to carry on with our lesson. Okay, so plants can move and grow. They can sense change in their environment. And how is this similar to what humans and other animals do? Have a think. Okay, so roots grow in all directions to find soil and water, and the mimosa plant curls when people touch it, and a sunflower moves to turn its face towards the sun. Plants need to take in nutrition and air to survive. They also need to get rid of waste. How do animals, including humans, get what they need to stay alive? And how do we get rid of our waste? Well, plants absorb their water and nutrients through their roots. Through their leaves, they take in light from the sun and carbon dioxide from the air. And leftover gases and water leave the plant from the leaves. If you've ever watered a plant, not all of it gets soaked up. If you lift it up, there's sometimes water at the bottom. Okay, plants can reproduce to make new plants, so they have like little plant babies. And some plants make seeds that grow into new plants. Okay, so here's a life cycle of a chicken that we did at school, or a hen. So we had the egg, it turned into a chick, and then it turns into a hen. Now here's a bean plant life cycle. The bean plant starts with a bean that's fallen or been picked from a bean plant. The bean's a seed. The planted bean seed germinates, and after 2 to 3 days, a shoot appears. Remember the shoots that we had? The bean seed will start to take root and a stem will appear. The bean uses the food in the seed to grow taller and taller. The bean plant has water and sunlight, it will grow tall and then it will flower. Eventually, pods of beans will grow on the bean plant, and each of one of these is a seed. Each seed can fall into the soil and now become a new seedling ready to grow into a whole new bean plant. So the bean plant starts as a bean, then a seedling, then a flowering plant, and then it has bean pods. So you have got a sunflower plant life cycle. At the bottom, it's got some stuff to help you fill it all in, but then I would like a sentence. So maybe it starts its life as a seed. You can get a seed from the last sunflower plant. Okay. So in fact, you can do this at home. You can find a space and you're going to pretend to be a tiny seed, snug and warm in the ground. So curl up tight like a seed in the soil. Okay, the rain has started to fall on the ground. It's lovely and warm. So now start to sprout. Can you wiggle like seeds getting ready to burst? And when you're ready, make a tiny little sprout. The warm sun is shining and the cool rain is falling. You want to be outside. Grow a little bit more and poke your head out of the earth because now you're a seedling. What a beautiful day. Time to grow some big green leaves. Stretch those leaves out towards the sun. But the wind's blowing. Your stem and your leaves are blowing in the wind. Make sure your roots stay in the ground. So you shouldn't be properly moving, should you? You should just be swaying. It's time to grow a flower. Can you use your hands to make a flower bud? Can you make the flower open up towards the sun? And then look around at your big, bright flowers. But now it's the end of your life. And your seeds are ready to fall. Bend your flower towards the ground and can you use your fingers to show all the seeds falling. And you're now a tiny seed again, snug and warm in the ground. Curl up tight and wait for the sun and the rain. And can you remember what happens next? Okay, so you are going to be filling in your life cycle of a sunflower and make sure you are drawing pictures and then writing sentences. Again, you can do it on the worksheet and you can on the portfolio and colour it in, or you can draw it in your book. It is up to you. And I will see you tomorrow.